Hi, and welcome to From the Gallery. I'm your host, Lori Neuenfeldt, Gallery Director in the Department of Art here at Mississippi State University. Today, I'm happy to bring John Bateman, who's the Executive Director of the Starkville Area Arts Council, to the show. Hi, John. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Lori.
So you've been the Executive Director now for a year. You're starting your second year officially?
Second year started in August.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very happy you're on the show. Generally, we focus on visiting artists and faculty and student artists, and you're one of my first community guests, so it's very exciting. And the Department of Art at Mississippi State also has a really great relationship from the Starkville Area Arts Council. You provide such great support for our programming and also for all of our local regional artists. So again, on this show, we want to be able to highlight what it is that the Arts Council does so that more people can be aware of all of the events and programming that's offered for not just the fine visual arts, but also music, dance, theater, the reading, writing, everything.
Right.
So first, I guess, tell us a little bit about yourself. How is it you find yourself in Starkville? Where are you from?
So I grew up here and then left for 17 years. I went to Starkville High School. My parents were on the faculty at Mississippi State. And like every good faculty member, I went to school elsewhere. So I do get, I went to the other school up north. So, but no, I grew up in Starkville.
We won't mention them,
Yeah,
right?
we won't mention that. So when I left Starkville and came back about a year ago, I was actually teaching script writing at Summer Scholars on stage, the theater arts camp that's at MSU. And this opportunity came up and I applied and it brought me back, or kept me here. And so, yeah, it's not the same town that I grew up in.
No, I don't even think it's the same town since I first moved here 7 years ago.
Right,
So much has changed. Do you want to talk about what you've seen happen, I guess, or change?
Sure. There's always been a tremendous amount of talent here. And I think for whatever reason, it's taken time for that to become visible and for the community to become aware of it. And it's visual arts, it's performing arts, both in music and in theater and in voice. And we have just such a tremendous pool of talent of people who live here. And what's great is to see that become a very vibrant community. I can remember being little and the weekends would roll around, and if there wasn't something going on at MSU that was sports related, there wasn't really anything happening. And not too long ago, we had an art gallery reception in the partnership downtown, and at the same time, there were 2 other art receptions happening downtown. And the community theater was opening their last show. And so it was sort of that moment of, oh wow, we have competing events. And that's great. That's a
good problem to have.
That's a great problem to have.
I think it's a nod to also the opportunities for those in the arts field. You mentioned you went away, right? You left Starkville.
Right.
And do you think you felt like you had to find opportunities in the arts?
I think at that time, yes. I think now we have the type of community where I want to keep the artists here.
Right.
And the talent is here, so let's create the opportunities or let's build the opportunities that exist that will keep them here. One of the complaints that my friends in New York City will say is that because of the cost of living, the artists are actually leaving the city. And so, for example, Detroit, at one point after the market collapse, one of the programs they were doing to try to capture some of those artists who were fleeing the city was to create a housing program where they would give away a house to an artist if they signed a contract that said that they would live there for a certain amount of time and produce art. And I think it even included some art education components as well. And so that's what I'd like to see now is let's keep the talent here, let's build it. And yesterday I was at the State Arts Conference in Jackson, and Randy Cohen from the Americans for the Arts spoke over lunch, and he was talking about how the one issue in DC right now that is bipartisan is the funding of the arts. And he was talking about how sort of the strange world we're in now, where that's the one issue that, at least in both parties at the legislative congressional level agree.
And people don't really hear too much about that.
No, they don't. At least not the agreement part.
Right.
And it's kind of amazing where, despite what some elected officials want to do with the NEA and other arts organizations, the bipartisan committees realize it has a tremendous economic value. And in fact, the Yaknapatawpha Arts Council up in Oxford participated in an economic study in 2015 and found that the arts contributed about 11 million to the economy in Lafayette County.
Right, and the National Endowment for Arts too has produced these studies that show there's direct correlation. And I think we've seen that in Starkville. I think to say that we have all of these events occurring at a time where also Starkville has grown, we see more building going on, more people are staying. I think we can't deny that there's definitely a relationship, right? More arts events related to all of these.
Well, in it,
growth in economy, yeah.
Absolutely, and one of the things that people forget about is that it's not just about seeing something pretty. It's everything that sort of leads to that. So you have a date night, and you go to the theater. You go to dinner before or after, or you go have drinks before or after, or you even, if you have kids, I don't, but if you have kids, you hire a babysitter. And so there's this ripple effect of when people are engaging in the arts. And then the extensive studies around arts education that show that regardless of someone's background, exposure to the arts and early exposure to the arts so that it exercises that creative muscle helps with school attendance, with performance and college readiness and other skills-based readiness as well. And one of the questions has been, well, if someone's affluent enough to have piano lessons, for example, then of course they're going to do better and have. But the studies that have been done that have focused on students that don't come from that background, the impact is really profound for them. And so the arts, it creates this wonderful, vibrant community that benefits everyone. And sometimes it's hard to see directly, but then when you can step back and realize that people are staying here, people are coming here, they're responding to the events. We have competing events on a night. And you
don't have to be an artist. You can just be someone who appreciates the art.
Right.
So let's talk about some of the events that the Arts Council has I guess, been responsible for promoting, but also producing and organizing. We are going to look at some images now, so you'll have to let us know what it is we're looking at. So, I think the first one on the screen here, these are ceramic pieces.
Yeah, so this artist is Bonnie Brumley, a young, talented ceramics artist here, and
a graduate of MSU's Department of Art.
Yes, and she's still here, and she's pretty actively involved in Sunday Funday. Well, last year we had an under 40 exhibit. The Arts Council has a series of art gallery shows, and we realized we were not connecting with our younger artists, and so we did an art show specific to artists under 40.
Okay.
And this is an image from that. It was very well received, and we saw quite a bit of diversity in the artists who were engaged, as well as the artwork, and so that's some of her work.
Wonderful. What about the next image here? We've got an installation.
This is our current abstract show that's up in the partnership right now, and you can see, I think this is a cluster of 2 or 3 artists, both some photography, some drawing, and then some mixed media.
So this is the Starkville Greater Development Partnership. I want to make sure I get it right.
So the show is in the partnerships lobby, the Greater Starkville Development Partnerships lobby. We're, of course, separate from them, but we use their space to do art shows.
Okay, let's look at the next image. Great piece.
I love this. This is from Art in the Park. This is an event that was started in collaboration with the Del Renan Foundation 4 years ago, and it's a free event for the public. Adults must be accompanied by their child, and it's at McKee Park, and it's from 9 to 1. And the goal is to expose youth to hands-on art activities that they might not otherwise get exposed to. And it covers everything from visual, this is our temporary mural wall, to strings, to theater, to photography, to clay and writing, so chalk art, all of the as well as dance. So
yeah,
And that's always a fun. Usually by the end of the day, the mural wall is a purple mush. But this year, it seemed to sort of retain some fun things on it.
And here we have children painting, here's Wonder Woman, or is that Supergirl painting pumpkins?
I think she is a Supergirl painting a fantastic pumpkin.
From Pumpkin Palooza.
That's actually coming up this year. That's the partnerships event. It's the downtown Halloween festival for kids, but we do a pumpkin painting booth there, which is always fun. Kids get to buy a pumpkin, they bring it to us, paint it for free, and sometimes the kids are very meticulous about what they want to paint.
She's very into what she's doing.
She is.
Yeah.
And then there's some kids who just want to paint the paper plate and then slap everything on there.
That's fine. It's
great.
Paint is a great material. Kids get to explore that now on pumpkins. It's just the time of year. It's perfect.
Yeah. And nobody's telling them what to do. So
now this looks like an amazing event, right?
Look
at that great crowd.
Absolutely. That is the Cotton District Arts Festival. And so every spring, that draws in a growing number of both artists and people from all over. We bring in artists from, I think last year, the furthest distance an artist came was from Florida.
Wow.
And so,
if we flip forward, we'll see an installation. That's the Juried Art Show that's actually in the Visual Arts Center Gallery during the time of the Cotton District Arts Festival. So again, another way for artists to be involved and have great art shown from all over. And then I believe we have one more image that you can talk about this new event you're working on. So if you can give us 1 minute of information as we end our program.
So Starkville and Oxford have a lot in common, both in terms of their communities, the university, and so I threw down the gauntlet with Oxford and said, hey, why don't we have a playoff of the Egg Bowl and do an art competition where it's a friendly competition, but Oxford versus Starkville this November. And submissions are due today. We're asking artists to make sure they get their submissions in for free, and they get picked one work per artist for 11 artists. And
to show up in Oxford.
Bring it to me, and then I'll take it to Oxford, and we'll see who wins.
So any final thoughts on the Arts Council's mission? Where can people get in touch with you if they have any questions?
The best place to go is to our website, starkvillearts.org, and our mission is to build a strong, creative, connected community through art. And so if people want to help out, whether it's through donations, volunteer, or ideas, give me a call.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for all that you and the Arts Council does for us here in Starkville. Look forward to continuing a partnership with you. And thank you for joining us here on From the Gallery. If you have any questions or comments, you can email me at lneuenfeldt@caad.msstate.edu. Thank you.